When I was a little girl, my grandmother would start her day at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee. And when I would wake up, I would join her at that table. And we would talk, we would laugh, and I would listen and I would learn. Sometimes she would talk to her girlfriends and I would soak it all in. They talked about life, they talked about love, but mostly she talked about being ferociously her, being her authentic self in a world that didn't always accept who she was, how she was, or that she was. But she didn't let that stop her. She made shift happen anyway. My granny's not with us anymore, but that doesn't mean the laughing and the learning has to stop. Join me, ladies and gentlemen, at my kitchen table, and let's keep talking shift.
You're listening to Talking Shift, the podcast, with your host, Marissa Q. Payne. Talking Shift is a trademarked production of Marissa Q. Payne International, your source for coaching and consulting when you need a major shift in life or leadership.
Have bag, will travel.
For more information, visit marissaqpayne.com.
Get you some good friends when you're going through your shift. That's the message here.
For now, listen, learn, and laugh with your host, Marissa Q. Payne.
Emphasis on at the moment. Hey friends, family, lurkers, how y'all doing? Welcome back to Talking Shift, the podcast. I am your host, Marissa Q. Payne, and I am so super excited about what I know is going to be an earth-shattering conversation. I have an amazing guest with me today. I would tell you the topic, but chances are we're going to be all over the place. Just talking good shift. I am joined in the studio today by Dr. Shamieka Dean, who is an award-winning business owner, marketing solutionist. She is, you want to talk about an alliteration and getting your business out there for business owners, organizations, corporations. This is the woman that you go to. She is transformational, a speaker. She is wife, G-ma, mama, sister, friend. She is dope in the kingdom of God. I had the pleasure of meeting her and being in community with her a few years ago. And I actually don't like being in her presence that much because she reads you. And I don't appreciate it. It's like one of those things where you do, but you don't. So I'm excited to talk shift with her today and to introduce you to her. Welcome, Dr. Shamieka.
Thank you. I am so excited about this conversation with the Marissa Q. Payne, honey, because I already know it's going to be one of those that's going to extract a few edges and loosen some lashes and lace fronts. So I'm excited.
I think it's funny because we both make each other cry.
Yeah.
I think, you know, you did some tear shedding in my space, and I know for sure I've done some tear shedding in your space. And so, and we have done a lot of shifting.
Yes. A lot of shifting. Oh my God.
So let's just jump right into it. Tell me, when you think about shifts, right? And you can kind of introduce, tell as much or as little of your story as you want. But when you think about shifts, and, we talk about both planned shifts and unplanned shifts. But when you think about the ones that matter most in your life and the evolution of you becoming who you are, which shift comes to mind?
Jesus. How do I have to pick just one? My God.
We can start with one and then,
okay,
see what happens.
Yeah. So one of the biggest shifts in my life was when I divorced and remarried. That was one of the biggest.
Yes, I was hoping you would talk about that.
Yeah. That was one of the biggest ones in my life.
Yeah. Okay. So divorced.
Mhm.
and remarried
The
the
same
same
man.
person.
Yes. Yes. Who
Okay.
does that in
Yeah, you did.
2020?
You
I
did. You
did.
did. Let's
I
hear
did.
about it. Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
more.
So my husband and I were married for 7 good years, right?
Mm,
And after 7 years, he asked for a divorce. Now, most people thought I did, but
mm,
it wasn't the case.
mhm,
He did.
mhm.
And of course, I was shocked because I thought I was the best thing since sliced bread,
And
like,
was. Mhm.
so when it happened, it shook my world.
Mm,
And, you had that moment where you ask God the question, how did I get here? That was my
mm,
how did I get here moment. Like,
mm,
what happened? How do we get to this moment? And I realized in retrospect, of course, that now let me make sure that I preference this. It was not divorce is not a one person thing. It's not like one of those, oh, it's his fault, it's my fault. It's not that, right? So
yeah.
I only take responsibility for Shamieka. I can't take
Uh-huh.
responsibility for him. I don't tell his story. That's his story to tell. So let me say
Sure.
that. However,
Can I
w-
pause you for just a second?
uh,
You was completely surprised that he wanted, like, you ain't know nothing?
I think, and here's why I say I was completely surprised, because in our immaturity, we had tossed that word around so much. So it didn't. It
Ah,
was one of those I never thought it would really happen. It's just
okay.
kind of like, we've been here before, right? We'll
Boy
be
who
okay.
cried wolf.
Right. So it
Mhm.
was like that.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, what I learned about myself is that I went into the marriage as a single married woman. So I was, nothing changed about me except for my last name. That
Mm,
was it. That was all. I didn't understand um, what a wife really was
mhm,
according to how it worked for us.
mhm,
I didn't understand how to share space
mhm,
with anyone because I had been a
mhm,
single mom for 8 years.
mhm,
I didn't understand submission because to me, submission was slavery. It meant
mm,
I lost my identity, my voice, and all of those things. So anything submission was like, not gonna happen.
mhm, mhm,
Right. Um, and also I needed a lot of healing that I didn't realize until I got married. Right.
mhm, mhm,
So there were walls around my heart based on things that had happened from the past. There were
mhm,
belief systems that had me in a position of survival mode. And
mhm.
being in that place is not good for any marriage. And it's nearly impossible for a marriage to survive and be healthy.
I
And
got you.
so,
So you
yeah,
talking
so
real hindsight. Like, these are
real
beautiful
hindsight,
reflections.
real hindsight.
But
Yes.
your man is like, I want a divorce. I know you didn't
Mm-hmm.
know all this stuff at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Exactly.
all got divorced. How long
Mm-hmm.
were you apart?
So we were separated for a year and we
Mm-hmm.
were officially divorced for 5 months. So it was
Okay.
official for 5 months, but we had already been separated for a year before that happened.
Got it. Got it.
Mhm.
And then since he divorced or he wanted the divorce, does that mean he came back to you?
Sort of, kind of.
Oh, uh-huh.
Well, he did.
Uh-huh.
And so the story behind it though was there was no intentionality. So when we divorced, it was almost like I hate you, you hate me, we're not talking. We're gonna take care of these kids. That's it, and that's all.
Yeah.
Um, and I had a friend of mine at the time who kept saying to me, your marriage isn't over. Your marriage isn't over. Your marriage isn't
Mm-hmm.
over. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
girl, please, the ink is dry on the paper. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
moving on with my life.
Mm-hmm.
I also had a pastor at the time that believed that we were just making a mistake.
Mm.
He felt like we were just both mature. We needed to grow through it. I didn't want
Mm.
to hear what the pastor said either. Like,
Mm-hmm.
all of y'all could go. Because I'm a no backseat type of girl. I'm a girl that's just like, once we're done, sir, we're done. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
However, um, the vow was still playing itself out even after we divorced, the in sickness and in health kind of thing.
Mm.
So I had injured my spine in the winds of a tornado.
Mm.
Um, and he had come to the house that weekend to it was this weekend with the kids. So he was bringing them back and he asked where I was. They said, hey, she's in her room because she hurt her back. So he actually walked back to check on me at that time. I was on my way to the restroom, could barely walk. I think I was crawling, honestly, because I was in that much pain. And so he said, let me take care of you because you're not in the position to be able to take care of the kids. I'll just kind of be here to help you until you're back on your feet. Right. Boom. Okay. I was, okay, whatever. You can sleep in the guest room, bonus room. Just don't come in here because ain't gonna be no hanky panky. Right. So, and that's what he did. He literally stayed there, nursed me back to health. And he was on his way out of the door. The youngest son said, "Hey, Daddy, doesn't mine look beautiful?" And he said, "Yeah, she really does." And so my youngest said, "Well, why don't you take her on a date?" And so he's a little matchmaker, right? And he did. He asked if he could take me out. He's like, just as friends, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So it started from there.
Got it.
Yeah. And so we started dating, and me being who, I'm a praying woman. So I'm just like, God, what is this? Right. And so he told me, he said, "I'm going to restore your marriage." And so I said, well, I'm definitely not going to ask him. So you're going to have to work this thing out.
You can tell I'm petty, right? Because I'm like, well, if he did it, he got to come back. Like,
right. And that was me. And I was like, so I did pray specifically for specific things. And I said, well, I need to know that he's real. I need to see that there's change. I need him to take the initiative. He needs to set us up for counseling. He needs to do all the things. And so he did. He asked about, what do you think about us getting remarried? He said, I think we should go to counseling first. I'll schedule it, all of those. So he took initiative in a way that I hadn't seen him do before. And that's what happened. We started going to counseling and boom, we got remarried.
Wow. But it sounds like based on kind of the lessons that you mentioned and the self-reflection that you did about yourself, that you didn't blame him necessarily for that time of separation. Like you would have divorced yourself.
Right. I mean, and that was just the truth. I would have. Right.
Wow.
I would have, because I was very nasty. My mouth was lethal.
Wow.
And I still have to tame it, on occasions. Like I've matured. But my mouth was a lethal weapon. And I remember him saying to me one time, he said, "You have a way of saying things that make people feel less than dirt.
Wow.
And you never have to say a cuss word."
Wow.
And at the time, I thought she just felt like I was a wordsmith,
Yeah. Yeah. That's the tricky thing about having a gift.
Yes.
It can be used for good or it can be used for
bad.
evil. Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't realize how important respect was for me. And I didn't realize how, as his wife, what I said made a greater impact, than what other people say.
Say that again for the people in the back.
Yeah. And I did.
Matters.
It was respect mattered. And I used to tear him down with my words, because if I was hurt, I didn't lash out physically because I'm a fighter. So I used to lash out physically with my hands. Right.
Yeah. Oh,
so when I graduated a little bit, I was saying, well, now, when I'm going to use this language, to let you know how you hurt me. So I'm going to hurt you in a way that I know it's going to cause damage to you.
Dr. Dean, yes. Listen to me. Like you dropped something and didn't even know you were dropping it. You talked a whole nother shift. Like you're talking about personal growth, evolution, and that is not easy. Like you are sitting here talking about yourself, like the inner journey of your own personal growth. And like that's the hardest shift of all.
Yeah.
It's like, and then being able to live and be willing to talk about it and admit it to yourself, to be accountable to yourself.
Yes.
Oh my God. She was like, I used to throw them hands, baby. And I went from hands, then I went to lips.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't like shift is not like, oh, I had this problem and then it was glorious morning.
No.
Right? Just 0 to 100 overnight. No, like you go from 0 to like 20%, you still failing.
Absolutely.
for a while, but you're making progress. You're getting better. So
Mhm.
when you remarried, was it happy, happy roses and cotton candy right away?
In the beginning, it was the marital bliss. It was the honeymoon
Yes.
stage, you know,
Uh-huh.
all over again because we're like, man, we've done something that no one in our family had ever done. And we were kind of like the token relationship goal,
Mm.
relationship, you know, in our family and things like that. And it was good. And then I started to grow again because I got
Mm.
into entrepreneurship.
Uh-oh. That
So I
dang
started,
entrepreneurship.
it's, I don't know why people think entrepreneurship is just about making money. It is
Yeah.
not. It is
Yeah.
really evolution.
Oh,
Entrepreneurship is a journey of evolution. Oh my
girl.
God. Yeah. So we
Okay, you
hit,
playing now because we at this point we on a part two. Like
yeah, yeah. It's a whole different, my God, it's a whole different ball game. And man, I found out more about myself on the journey of entrepreneurship than I did in anything else I've ever done in life.
wow. Wow. Okay. So do tell. So new shift, right?
New
So
shift.
we're shifting. Okay. So now you're married, you started a business,
Mhm.
and the business is affecting your marriage. Is that what
Yeah.
I'm hearing?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Because when we get into entrepreneurship, when we find this thing that excites us, right? We're
Mm,
doing something new. We feel one with ourselves. We have this peace, this passion. And then we have this ammunition that drives our ambition, right?
mm,
We are on this journey of, I got to do this. You
mhm.
know, I have to do this. And so that,
You
the
got a new
ammunition,
baby.
yes,
You
a
got
new
a new
baby.
boo.
I knew everything. I'm in love with it. I want to do it all the time. I want to spend all my time, you know, in this
Oh, we.
business and not realizing that the person I was becoming as an entrepreneur was so different from the person that he married both times.
Oh,
Yeah, she's
both
different
times.
both times,
She
you
keeps
know,
shifting.
keeps changing and shifting
Wow.
and not realizing how that change and shift appears to her spouse.
Yeah.
Right. So on this side, I'm thinking, I'm doing this for us. I'm doing this for our family. Like, what is wrong with you? What do you mean I'm spending too much time in the office? What do you mean, you know, oh, it's another late night, right? Like, what do you mean? But on the other side,
Cause he
it's,
like, I didn't ask you to do that.
I didn't ask you. And but here's the thing. He was supportive. He was
Uh-huh.
my first investor.
Sure.
He was extremely supportive. And, but that drive, that ambition to reach this milestone
Uh-huh.
in my life, this monumental milestone, got all of me,
Mm.
which left him getting the what was left of me,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
the tired, too tired for bedroom boom, right? Too tired to
Mm-mm.
pay attention to how his day was, you know, all of those
Mhm.
things. And not understanding that, yes, you're growing and evolving, but you're becoming a completely different person to your spouse. There's
Mm.
really no communication because this is my business. I'm growing my business. Like I don't have
Mhm.
time for all of that. You should understand this, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and then as you grow and evolve, if you and your spouse are not growing at the same pace and in the
Mhm.
same way, then now you're looking at each other differently. Cause now you don't even know if you like each other. I
Mhm.
don't know if I like you, you know, like,
And so, I mean, I'm trying to kinda grasp it because I mean, to some extent, I get it. It sounds like, like the business was kinda becoming your mistress a little bit.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But you're also talking about how you were changing. So it's
yes.
one thing to say you were focusing all your attention on the business,
Mm-hmm,
but what exactly was shifting in you? Like, how were you changing, even though your focus was changing? But what about
mm-hmm.
you was changing?
So what about me was changing is before business, I didn't really know who Shamieka was outside of being a wife or a mother.
Okay.
There was no
Hmm.
identity for me as an
Okay.
individual.
Hmm.
And so as I became more familiar with who I am, there were
Hmm.
certain things that I realized I didn't like anymore.
Ah,
Right.
okay. Hmm.
You know, and there were certain things there were certain conversations that I just didn't want to indulge in or engage in anymore,
Got it.
you know? So
Got it.
all of those things about me changed. My vision began to shift. So I began to want and desire more than I ever desired before.
Things I used to do. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't do no more. I got it. Places I used to go.
Used to go.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
own the rights to this song. Sorry. I got you. I'm with you now. Okay. Got it. Got
Yes.
it.
But I was just different. I wasn't the same girl that didn't have purpose. I wasn't the same girl that didn't know who she was, didn't know who she liked,
Got
didn't
it.
know what brought her peace, didn't know what brought her happiness. I was no
So
longer
that's
that
when like your
girl.
friends start saying, "Oh, she thinks she too good," and
Yeah, she
stuff
thinks
like
she's too
that.
good for. She thinks she's better than us. Yes, all of those, all of those things.
And so what was the messaging that a husband would be saying? Or what would he be saying?
Where do I fit?
Mm.
Do I still fit? Right? Do you still look at me the same? Right? Am I still the person that you could see you're living the rest of your life with?
Wow.
Are we good? Are we good? Right? All of those things. And on the other side, though, for me, it felt like, does he not want me to succeed? Is he insecure? Is he jealous? Right? Because I'm growing and I'm doing things, that I wasn't doing before. So on that side, that's how I feel. But on his side, he's just like, I just don't even know if I fit anymore. Like, does this vision even include me anymore? Right.
So how did you find the balance?
So finding the balance, one, I had to really dig into the ammunition that was driving my ambition. Why was I really going so hard to meet this goal? And the root of that was because I didn't know who Shamieka was initially, my identity was found in what I was able to accomplish. So I gave it my all because I identified my value, myself as the accomplishments and accolades, right? And I had to ask myself, who was I trying to prove this point to? Who was I trying to say that I'm good enough, that I'm worth something, right? And so I had to do that work. So once I was able to resolve those issues.
So it was like, "Oh, you like me? Oh, really?" It was it was a new kind of acknowledgement.
It was a new kind of,
that was
yes.
different from wife and mom, and it was like, "Oh, I like this attention. It's something new."
Yes.
Got it. Okay. And it's like, okay, what is that about? Yeah.
Yeah. What is it really about? Right. What is the root of my why? And as much as I was initially saying that I was doing this for my family, I really was doing this because there was a void within me that I was, pushing and driving. There was a pain that I was trying to heal. Right. There was that vow that I made in that place of pain when, I disappointed my mom by becoming pregnant as a teen, or, when my dad lived 2 minutes driving distance and he had a whole wife and kids and never came to see me. Right. So inwardly, the root of that is why I was going so hard.
Yeah.
And so once I was able to resolve those things, I was able to come back, get balanced, get centered, and build properly.
I think getting to the root and the heart of the matter is so very important, which takes us back to what we talked about, which is that inner journey, that inner work. And when you're shifting and evolving and growing, and it can be done, you're proof that it can be done, and you don't have to lose the relationships,
Right.
that are important to you. But it takes work.
It takes work. It takes work. And the thing is, Marissa, it takes honesty. And I think that where most miss it is they're not honest with themselves.
Ooh-wee.
Because they create these belief systems that pacify, right, where the pain, and pacify where they are.
Oh my gosh.
And so they're not honest.
Yeah.
Like, if I wasn't honest, I would not be where I am today. I wouldn't be celebrating, 18 years in a couple of months, right?
Yay,
But I
congratulations.
had to be honest with myself, Shamieka, why are you really doing this? Because your kids they're cool. They love mom. They love being in your presence. They're cool with that. Your husband loves spending time with you. He's cool with that. So why are you really doing what you say you're doing? Because I believe that if you're doing it for your family, you don't have to sacrifice your family to get
To
it.
do it. Oh, that's
Yes.
good.
You
That's
know?
so good. That's so good. Yeah. If you're doing it for your family, then you shouldn't have to sacrifice your family to do it.
Absolutely.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
We're going to
That's
let that
Dr.
marinate.
Shamieka Dean. That's Dr. Shamieka Dean. Quote that, y'all. That's good. That's really good. So what do you say to the woman who's wrestling, or the man, right, who's wrestling right now with ambition and family, and trying to figure out if they can really have them both?
Mm-hmm. So to the person that is wrestling with trying to figure out if they can have them both, first, I want you to solidify within yourself that you actually can have them both.
Mm-hmm.
Because something within you is saying to you that you cannot have them both. That's a story that you're telling yourself, which is why you're giving more attention to one than you are to the other. Because your actions really validate what you truly believe. So if you believe that you can have them both, then you're going to be as intentional about building your business, as intentional about building the relationships with the people that you say you want to have those relationships with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Where's your intention and your attention going?
absolutely, because that's going to be the revelation, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be the revelation. And so when you notice that you're giving more attention to your business, then what you believe is that you cannot have a healthy, happy marriage, family relationship and the business. And if you're self-sabotaging your purpose, because I'm going to say this for women because I see it more happening more for women than men, but a lot of women will self-sabotage their success and call it submission. But the true fear is that if I achieve this high level of success, I'm going to lose my marriage. So instead of me doing profit producing activities, I'm sending out emails that I know can wait. Right? So I'm prettying up procrastination because internally, every time I think about success, I think about, man, when I made my first 6 figures, we had problems. When I made half a meal, we had problems.
Yeah.
Oh my God, now I'm on this journey to $1 million. I'm going to scale back a little bit.
This is so, this is so good. Oh my, like, I'm just like, my soul is like stirring up. Cause I mean, I love this and I could talk about this all day. And, yes, I'm in the middle of a divorce, as my audience, completely knows. But I was married almost 27 years and in business 12 years. So I wholeheartedly agree that you can 100% have them both. My transition out of the marriage had nothing to do with either, with the business necessarily. It was completely separate from that. But like I said, it takes work. And,
It takes work.
there's usually like the way there's a methodology in marital therapy called Imago. And way Imago refers to it is there's a turtle and a hailstorm in most relationships. Like the turtle is the person that ducks their head into the shell when it comes to transition and shifts and conflict. And then there's a hailstorm that just like beats down. We got to talk about it like right now, and so the trickiest piece is when you do that, you set the intention and then you pay attention to what's happening in the relationship, then you got to talk about it. Like communication is, you just can never escape communication in your
Never.
relationship because you're always evolving. You're going from season to season
To
to
season.
season. So once
long
you
as you're
have,
married.
once you have that awareness, you just got to be able to talk it through. And if you can't do it on your own, then you've got to get some help. you got to get some
Mhm.
support, right? And get some objective
Absolutely.
feedback or some professional feedback. So we didn't talk a lot about your business. I want to, as we kind of be prepared to wrap up, talk about your business a little bit. And is this a space now that you are supporting the people and helping? Because the people need help in this area, Dr. Dean.
Yes, absolutely, I am. And you and I know, personally that I didn't want to do this work. I was
Yes. I
against
didn't
it
want to put your business out in the street, but
100%. I was just like, I'm not doing it. I do market like a mogul, because it was fun. I was able to focus on doing the fun things, and not having to do the work. But yes, God graduated me to a full alignment.
yes.
And I am helping, people do this kind of work because, like you said, it is the work that is needed, is necessary, but there are not many people who offer this kind of support.
Yeah.
And there's no safe space for those like us who are making multiple 6, 7, 8 figures, right, in our businesses. There's no safe space because we can't be on social media like, yes, I'm tired of my husband, I want to get a divorce, right? Like, we can't afford to do that because we have brand.
Don't wild out on social media about your relationship. Please y'all don't do
Please,
that.
please. But yeah, it's I'm in that place now, supporting, women who do want to find the flow,
Mhm.
in their marriage, and still have a successful, business. Those who have children and still want to be present, in the lives of, their children as well, but not give
Yeah.
up their purpose and their dream either.
Yeah. I
And
love
so
it.
I'm in that space providing that holistic support for them to evolve spiritually, relationally, emotionally, so that they can have more success financially. Because I do believe that, mindset shift, all that. If your
Yes.
house, let me tell you, if you have if your relationships are raggedy, it's going to eventually show up in your revenue.
For sure.
It will, because your best and most creative space is when you are in a place of rest, when you're in a place of peace. And when you're not in that space, it spills over into everything you do. So you may not see the impact in the current moment, but we know that a little leaven will destroy
Mm.
the whole lump.
Mm.
So
Mm, 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 mm.
yeah, I
Mm,
am that
mm.
safe space. Yes.
I love it. How can the people connect with you? Where do they find you?
They can find me anywhere on in these social media streets, Dr. Shamieka Dean or Shamieka Dean. My website is shamiekadean.com
I love
also.
it.
So yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much. It is never enough time because this requires a deep dive. So we may be talking to you about being a part of our dialogue series as well. Thank you
Yes.
so much, and congratulations on all the things, sis. And thank you again so much for just sharing so transparently. I know inner journey work is not easy, and I know that we're just beginning.
Yes.
So I wish I wish you the absolute best and happy early anniversary to you and your boo.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It has been a privilege and a pleasure. So thank you so much. I love you.
You too.
You've been listening to Talking Shift, the podcast, with your host, Marissa Q. Payne. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, like or subscribe for future episodes, and leave us a review. Talking Shift is a trademark production of Marissa Q. Payne International, your source for coaching and consulting when you need a major shift in life or leadership. For more information, visit marissaqpayne.com or follow us in social spaces at Marissa Q. Payne.